awesome. Yeah, no, we're good. Yeah, we'll just flow. I mean, this is perfect. So you're speaking about Micah, Kurt, and you're talking about his Mario Plus Advance.
That's right.
YouTube
Mario
channel.
Plus Advance, as Micah says, 2.0. So yeah, man.
2.0, huh?
Listen. This is the mind of a 10-year-old.
Okay.
And it's a YouTube channel?
It's a YouTube channel. It is. And he, my son, I'm creative, but he's technically gifted to be creative. So what he does is he builds animatronics. He builds his own animatronics. He gets parts from like toy cars and stuff like that, and he'll like rig the toy car parts to make his animatronics move.
Ooh,
wow.
I love that.
Yeah, but Micah is different, man. So when I look at this,
He's
say, like God, like you're fulfilling your creative design through this boy. This boy is 10 years old, and he's one of the things that I want for all children, for my children and all children, is to find purpose early. If you can find purpose early, you can start to go on that road. There's many scriptures, but one in particular says that where there's no vision, the people go unrestrained. And so if you have a vision of where you're trying to go, then things that try to take you away from that can't, because I have restraints. On either side of me, there are restraints because I'm trying to get here.
Yes.
And so we're pushing Micah not towards the ideal, but towards what he in his heart has decided is ideal for him. And so we're pushing him forward in that by giving a whole lot of time and effort and resources into his little creative ability. So
that's awesome.
That is awesome.
A supportive father.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we need more of those.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about that all the time
agree.
on the show. One of the fathers that we met recently that was super impressive to me was a Christian hip hop artist named Zonti. He's actually from Tampa. He used to go to Grace.
Yeah, you were telling me that. Yeah, absolutely.
And we met his father, and oh my goodness,
Chris. His dad's name is Chris.
Yes, so
Shout out to
supportive
Chris,
of
man.
his
Shout
son.
out to you, Chris.
Yes, yes. I mean,
bless
he
you,
just was powerful, both of them together, and just what he does, just watching him move and how he supports his son, just like what you're doing, man. It's so inspiring. I admire that.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely. And I know, with your son, I watch you. I told David,
Dante.
I watch. I don't say a lot of stuff, but I watch how men treat their children, how they treat their wives, and you can tell a lot about where a man is in his own relationship with himself, about how he treats his wife and his children. So I appreciate you, and I want to celebrate you as a father, because you're a great father. And I don't know if anybody's told you that in a while, but I see it.
Wow,
I know what it takes to be a good father. So shout out to you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, man. Speaking of that, I just want to get this out there. Last week we went and watched my son's football game. Who were they playing? It was Nature Coast up in Brooksville, which is really interesting. I want to shout out to their cheerleading squad.
Yeah.
Like, I've never complimented a cheerleading squad, but they were fire, man. Like, it's like straight incredible. The cheerleaders were just. What would you say? Like acrobatic, full of energy.
Yeah, full of energy.
On
And there
point.
was a huge crew of them, and they were just they were so connected, aligned, energetic.
And they had it together.
Cheerleading coach, I had to go up after the game and just I've never thanked the cheerleading coach. I've always been into and their music choice was like on point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like they just killed it the whole game. It was like, and it was like clean. It was good, and they played a lot of Christian hits.
Shout
as
out
well.
to them,
Yeah,
man.
they were dope.
That's awesome.
But anyways, the main point of the story was my son. He's been kind of struggling, with not getting a lot of catches or balls thrown to him. He's a wide receiver at Land O'Lakes High School, and we've been telling him to be patient. Your time will come.
Yeah.
But he kind of got in his head, and they had to sit him down a couple games. He wasn't getting as much time. He was still playing, but not getting as much time as he could have. Well, this game, the main player that they have, Kinnan, what's his last name?
I don't remember.
Okay, but he's a phenomenal receiver, like corner. I mean, the guy does it all: punt return, kick return. He's awesome.
Man,
but
wow,
they
both
were
sides
shutting
of
him
the ball.
down. They were shutting him down
Hey, okay.
all game, and it was back and forth. Like the teams were going back and forth, and scoring and whatnot. And the team had just scored, Nature Coast, and with 3 minutes to go in the game, really silly move. They kicked an onside kick with the lead. We recovered at the 50, and I kind of looked at the other dads and stuff in the stands and the mothers, and I'm like, that's weird, but I'll take it, you know. So we get it, and so about 2 plays later, they called on number 8, Dante Turner, and they threw him a fade, a 50-yard fade. He steps up, he catches it, wins the game. Basically wins the game. They go down, they score, they take the lead, and then their defense stopped them. I think it was like a 3 and out or something like that, and they win the game.
Wow.
So,
awesome.
but
that's
Dante,
incredible.
but his patience, and I told him, I was like, son, I know it's frustrating, man. But I was like, just be patient, and when you're called on, be ready.
Yeah.
And when you get a chance, it's time to step up.
Yeah.
And he stuck with that, So after the game, the coach was talking to me and Monica, and I went up and thanked him. Yeah. And I just said, hey, man, good game, coach. And he didn't know that I'm Dante's father or whatnot. And he goes, yeah, man, he's like, that number 8, man, Dante, he says, he's had a kind of a rough season. He wasn't getting the ball thrown to him. We had to sit him down, but he's like, I told him, I was like, just hang in there. You're going to get your time. And he says, and he's like, and I told him, I was like, watch, God will provide.
That's a
and
fact.
I was like, Coach, I said, I complimented Coach right away. I said, Coach, I like that. I like that you kept God on his mind.
Absolutely.
And he's like, and he told him after the game, I told you God would provide,
Amen.
And then he's like, yeah, I'm going to take him to lunch tomorrow. And I'm like, man, that's incredible, man. I was like, yeah, man, that's my son. He's like, what? Yeah, man. He's like, he starts like,
yeah.
It was cool, man. Proud father moment.
Yeah,
so,
man.
Like,
dog, listen, we need more. We need more opportunities to hear about that.
Yeah.
It's very easy to look at the father situation right now, just everywhere, and just be like, oh well, he doesn't, But when you have those kinds of things, those they that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. That's literally what happened to your son.
Oh,
he
that's
waited.
great scripture.
He waited. This is, and you know this because you've been around me, but this is in me. You know what I mean? To the point where it's just like, I see situations like with your son, and I can see the scripture happening to him. How he's sitting and he's waiting for his opportunity.
Yeah.
So much so that he's starting to doubt, and that's what happens with us.
Yeah.
You wait so long, and it's like, God, well, did you really say that?
Yeah.
Did you really mean that? Did you really? And then you start to, because that's what it is to be human.
Yeah.
The condition of humanity is to long for something more. We all long for it. It's deep within all of us. We're all looking for something, that place, that opportunity. And when that opportunity comes and you've been waiting the right way, you have something like what happened with your son.
Yeah. Patience pays off.
Wow, I get, here it is. The time met my timing. Boom. And you have a super awesome opportunity to celebrate him to where his confidence or his strength is now renewed. Now he knows that this is what this was for.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So shout out to him.
And if I could say, like, my daughter and I, Ruth, we went to the game before that, the week before, where he just played at his home, his home school. And that one, he was really discouraged, and he was like, he's like, I'm ready to quit this and to forget about it and give up. And he was just really discouraged. And David was trying to just be like, just be patient. Hold on. You'll get your time. He's trying to encourage him. And then that night, my daughter and I go home, and she's like, Mom, I think David just needs to let Dante just be in his feelings.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, oh no, just, and I know we try to encourage people and give them the word and support them, but she's like, he needs to just let him just sit in those emotions.
Yeah.
And then after that, the next game is when he gets this winning play. And we were all so excited to be there, but it was also a good thing for Ruth and I, because she doesn't have her father in her life.
Right.
And I didn't have my father in my life. And so it was just such a healing, good example to see that David is there supporting his son, and to see that example of good fathers. And I know you all in this room are all great fathers. And so it helps us to see that when we didn't have that modeled for us.
Right. Right. That's amazing. That's thank you for bringing that up, because most of the time we want to coddle the feelings. We want to not feel them.
Yeah.
But it's in feeling those feelings that we actually come closer to the Lord. You know what I mean? Second Peter talks about how in suffering we have fellowship with him. You know, think it not strange that you're going through suffering, because in that suffering there's fellowship with Christ. And if you're going to suffer with him, you'll also be brought to glory with him. And so it's only in suffering that you get fellowship. If you think about hard times, you don't find out who's who with you until the time is tough.
Right.
You know what I mean? People will be like, yeah, we good. You know, you my man, but let it go down. Let the ship start going down. Let the sun start looking like it's setting on your time.
Yeah.
Those people will leave. And that is the fellowship that we have with Christ in those moments. We have time with him where it's just us. And it is the situation, the suffering is tailor-made for us to have that time with him, the closeness. Bible talks about how we should know him in the power of his resurrection, but also in the fellowship of his suffering. Like, we develop a closer relationship in suffering than we do in those powerful, awesome moments. You know, if not for the suffering of his feelings of feeling like, man, I don't know what's going to happen with this. How great would that moment have been if he just kept going mountaintop to mountaintop to mountaintop? You miss it. The battle is won in the valley. It's the victory is screamed from the mountaintop.
Right.
So you get the moment to be like, yeah, I'm the man, you know, at the mountain, but it's in the valley where you actually want to battle. Then you got to will yourself up the mountain.
Right.
So you could win the battle, and then in the midst of you winning, you're tired. Imagine if he got to the point where he was like, man, yeah, I got this touchdown, but I didn't get all those other ones. What, you know, now, you know what I'm saying? Then that bitterness. But for him, he's justified, because now he's like, you know what? It was worth it. This was absolutely worth it. You know, and so shout out to you, DT2. I haven't met you.
DT squared.
DT squared. I haven't met you yet, buddy, but I love you, man, because I love your father, man. By virtue of loving your father, I love you, man, and shout out to you, bro. For real.
Yeah, and you said he's only been playing a year. This is his senior year, but this is just the first year that he's actually playing. Yeah. So he stuck it through for all those years being on the bench.
He was ineligible because of COVID that hit when he was a freshman. He had a hard time recovering.
Wow.
So yeah, it's really, and that's another thing that coach mentioned. Yeah. He's like, I know that kid's been through a lot. You know, he didn't realize he was talking to his father.
Right.
and that's when in the video when I was recording, you hear me just going crazy on the video, and it's just like that's what I felt though. Like when I screamed and I'm like, yeah. You know, it was because I know what he's been through. Yeah. You know, his life, even things with me and his mom and things. And I'm like, man, that's when you see your child get that moment that they've worked so hard for, it just like you feel so happy for them. Yeah. You know, and I was just so joyful for him. Yeah. You know, it wasn't about anything else but him. Yeah. You know, and I think that's what we got to do. And speaking of that, to roll into what you're doing now is really phenomenal, man. We talked about this when probably around when we first started meeting each other, I believe. You know, you were talking about doing a men's ministry at City Life Church.
Yes, sir.
And lo and behold, it's here.
Here we are,
and
right?
You're doing it. You're doing
right.
it.
Man,
if you could share with us like what that means to you and you know how you're helping and how the men are receiving.
Absolutely. So I lead a men's group at City Life Church Wednesdays at 7. It's called The Connection. It's a place for us to be accountable to one another, to have discipleship, to have a place where we can just be. I think in a lot of areas that we live in as men, we have to be a certain thing. You can't just come in the room as yourself. You got to come in the room as a supervisor. You got to come in the room as a leader. You got to come in the room as these different positions and things. And when do you ever get to just come in the room as yourself?
That's good.
You know what I mean? Yeah. We do it a lot when we're kids because we don't these archetypes, we don't subscribe to them as children. You watch a kid, they just come in and they're just like, yeah, I'm here. And you better be happy with what you get because this is all I got. You know what I mean? But with us, the label of father, you know what I mean? All of those things are things that we have to be. When you go into a room where you don't have to be anything but David, but Curtis, you know what I mean? You don't have to be Joe or Tom or whoever. You can just come in and be that. And so I just wanted to create a space where men could just be, where they could have an opportunity to connect with other men. And what you find is that the term I like to use is terminal uniqueness. That you think that it's just you going through this stuff. It's not just you, brother. It's you, it's him, it's all of us going through the same thing, because there are no new tricks out there. And if somebody would be willing to just say that I'm going through this, just by virtue of the community, we could all heal together. We could all walk through it together. And so it's going incredibly well. We got about 20 men that show up on a regular basis. I mean, DT has been, a couple times, and it's really cool to see guys connect. At the beginning of the class, I ask like a question usually to the guys, and I don't know if I'm getting in trouble for saying this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. So not last week, but the week before, the question that I had was, do you believe that you are exactly today where God has called you to be? And if so, why? If not, where do you think God has called you to? I'm getting chills. I'm starting to get shaky about sharing this story, but I'm gonna share it because perfect love casts out fear. So we're gonna do it in love. So what happened was, went around the room. The room is in a circle now. When David visited, I feel like we were doing a lot of outside stuff. So I was in the front and I would preach a message to the guys. But the Lord told me to put it in a circle. This is the first time I ever did it. Put it in a circle. He said, because we're going to look inward. We're going to look at each other. We're going to facilitate the class together. It's not going to be me anymore. So I got it in a circle. Everybody goes around and answers the question. There's a guy who's sitting right next to me. His name is Joseph, right? He's not a member of our church, but he happened to be in the class that night. He stands up. He writes his answer on the board. And he says, no, I feel like I'm lost. I said, okay. He stands up and he talks for like 30 minutes through his story. And he's saying a whole lot of stuff. Man, Lord, thank you. Wow. He's saying a whole lot of stuff. And he's saying how everyone has left him. He doesn't have anything. He's on the streets.
Oh, wow.
He's on the streets. And we could have passed over him. We could have just been like, all right, okay, sit down. But I let him go because I needed him to get this out. After he was done, I stood up and I said to him, brother, you say you're lost, but this is exactly where God wanted you to be. Right here tonight. This is your night.
Come on. Come on. Wow.
I don't want to be because I know this is going to be watched by some people.
Right.
I don't want to get into exactly what happened, but something miraculous happened in that room that night. He had some drugs, some hard drugs, not like marijuana. I'm talking about hard drugs with him. We were able to get him to throw it down. What addict do you know that's throwing down drugs? I have a family member, a sister. She probably won't like me saying this, but she doesn't care because she shares her testimony. My sister was an addict. Yeah. And when I told her what happened, she said, man, if you would have told me to throw some drugs down, I'd have ran out the room. You know what I mean? Because an addict is not giving up no drugs. By the power of Jesus Christ, he threw it down on the ground. We picked it up. And then he pulled out at the bottom of a glass bottle that he had broken, and he tried to stab his arm. This is in front of us. This is at church.
Oh my
I'm going to share this story because this is a victory for Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Right.
And one of the brothers chopped his hand. It was the perfect hiya, chop, bam. You know what I mean? Knock it out his hands. Wow. And we just put our arms around him. Every man in the group put their arms around this boy. This kid's like 19, 20.
Oh my goodness.
He's 19, 20. He goes and he leaves and we get him some help. There's a member of law enforcement in my class. And he calls and they don't arrest him. They actually take him to go get help. That's what we doing in the class.
Bro.
Wow. You know what I mean? This is powerful. This is where we're going. Because the bottom line is that if not in that environment, then where?
Right, exactly.
When is it going to be convenient?
Right.
When are we going to stop trying to make convenient opportunities for God to show up? There's no convenience in what God is trying to do. And if you want it to be convenient, then you might not want to be a part of this. You might want to try to manufacture your miracles a different way. Because this is what the Lord is doing. We weren't expecting this. You know what the topic was that night? This is why I think this is funny. The topic was identity in Christ.
How did he find out about it though?
He actually was in the hallway.
So he was at the church.
He was at the church. He was trying to charge his phone.
Okay.
You know, the church is open to everybody.
Okay, got it.
So he was trying to charge his phone, and by way of him doing that, he got into our class because he couldn't just sit there and charge his phone. So he didn't know. He didn't know, but God knew.
He was set up.
Right, exactly. And that's why I said at the beginning, I didn't even know why. So the way the Lord deals with me with the class, I usually have the message like way ahead of time. I couldn't get a message. God just said, it's just this question. I said, God, man, all right. What choice do I have? If you haven't given it to me, this is all I got. So we're gonna just go with this. So we're gonna, I'm gonna speak this out of my spirit, I guess. And so when I got there and he came into class, the first thing he said to me, I usually bring food for the brothers because I just don't think, I think that guys coming in from work, guys coming into, I want to make sure that you have something to eat. You know what I mean? So he came in, he saw the chicken on the table. Shout out to Publix chicken.
Yes,
y'all not sponsoring Better Gents, sponsor Better Gents right now.
Yeah.
Right on. It gives them some chicken.
Yeah, right. So I had the chicken on the table, and he said to me, how many pieces can I get? And I said, as much as you want.
Yeah.
This is your father's house. That's how many pieces you can get.
Yes.
And that's what the class is about. I told the guys one time, I said, bro, if God had a kitchen, Jesus walk in there, open the refrigerator, I can walk in there and open the refrigerator. I can walk in there and open the refrigerator because this is our Father's house. The design isn't that you come trepidatiously. No, he said, come boldly to the throne of grace to obtain mercy, not in your good times, but in your time of need. When you need me, I need you to come. Not just when it's cool, not just when you think you're doing it right. Because guess what? Your righteousness is as filthy rags. It's not even, it's not even as good as you think it is. It's like somebody, they got a nice, they think they got a nice like suit on, and they come in and they hype about this suit, but you're like, man, that's nice. You know what I mean? You can't say nothing nice, don't say anything at all. But, it's like that with God. We try to bring God. We try to come to God when we feel like, oh God, you're so good. I want you to come to me when the whole thing is falling.
Ooh.
And I want you to come boldly in that moment, because I need you to know that my will is big enough to satisfy even that moment. That is, my will is not just for you when you doing everything that you think that you should be doing. My will is for you in that moment too. And so that's what the class is about. I got somewhere else. I'm sorry.
Yo, no, dude, are you
know,
kidding me? Like, dude, I mean, if I heard that, that's like the best like speech I could ever hear to sell like anything to me. like, yo, I'm going. Like, if I hear about this class, I'm like, yo, but that
on Wednesday.
City Life on Wednesdays. The Connection men's group. Oh man, that is powerful, bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you
for sharing that with us, man. And what I get from that though is Curtis's obedience to do this.
Man,
look what happens. Look what happens when you're obedient, people. Like, this man done. Who knows where he would be, or and who that would affect if something happens to that man.
Exactly.
Because we're all connected.
Exactly.
And that's what people need to remember is we're all one body.
Absolutely.
So like, oh, that's not my family. No, we all are family.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we need to stop thinking like that. Oh, I only do for my family.
Absolutely.
We need to do for everybody. Do for each other.
Absolutely.
How do we work together?
Absolutely.
And this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Ministry,
I agree. I think
men's groups,
women's groups. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Groups. Period. Get with people.
Healthy minds.
Right. That can walk with you through these days and times. These times that we live in are difficult.
Yes.
These are they're not going to get any easier. To stand for anything is to be ostracized. Is to be destroyed, because how can you have a stance anymore? You should just believe what everybody else believes. You should just do what everybody else does.
Right.
Yo.
And so when you start standing, you get the brunt of the attack, because now you're standing, and most of the time you're standing alone if you're not in a group. It's just you standing by yourself. And if you stand long enough, you will get overwhelmed. That's why the journey is to be with others. You can't do this by yourself. And if you're listening to this podcast, I want to encourage you to get in a group, get with some people. No, listen, let me tell you something. Everybody in that group, wherever you are, whoever's in that group, they're going through the same thing. Trust me. Right. You are not on an island by yourself. And some of them are going through worse things.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. You can catch all of our episodes on YouTube and Spotify at Better Gents Podcast, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Better Gents Pod. Thank you and take care.